want to now look at the derivation of the IS curve graphically. Now, the IS curve shows us all those combinations of real interest rate and output for which our goods market is in equilibrium. Now, there are two different ways that we can derive the IS curve graphically. The first approach that we looked at was that we combine the Keynesian cross with the investment function. So here we essentially change R and we see what needs to happen to Y to keep goods market in equilibrium. But now we're going to derive the IS curve from a savings investment diagram, and we'll do it for the case of a closed economy. Now this works because we can rewrite the equilibrium goods market equilibrium condition, which is y is equal to c plus I plus g, as y minus c minus g is equal to I, where y minus c minus g is national savings. So we can look at the goods market equilibrium condition a little differently, where instead of looking at it as y is equal to c plus I plus g, we look at it in an alternative equivalent way, which is national savings are equal to private investment. So now in this case, what we will do is now we will change Y and see what needs to happen to R to keep goods market in equilibrium. So this is the opposite of what we do when we're deriving the IS curve from the Keynesian cross and investment function combined. Over there, we change R and see what needs to happen to Y to keep goods market in equilibrium. But when we're deriving it from the savings investment diagram, what we will do is we will change Y and see what needs to happen to R to keep goods market in equilibrium. Now, what we do is we start from a given savings and investment curve, where keep in mind, whenever we plot the savings curve, it's drawn for a particular level of y. So in this particular case, we are plotting it for y is equal to by 1. So we have our point A, where there's equilibrium in the goods market, and this corresponds to a particular interest rate R1 and output Y1, and we can plot this point on our second graph, R1 by 1. So now what we do is we increase y, and as a result of this, the savings curve is going to shift towards the right. Because now at any given interest rate, your national savings, which are y minus c minus g, are higher, so the savings curve will shift towards right. Now, as the savings curve shifts towards the right, what's going to happen is at the original R, your national savings are greater than private investment. So now the goods market is not in equilibrium, and R will have to fall to maintain goods market equilibrium. And R is going to fall until we reach point P, where the goods market is again in equilibrium. So we have a new point, R2, Y2, which we can also plot on the second graph that we have over there. So now we have 2 points, R1, Y1 and R2, Y2, for which the goods market is in equilibrium, and we can connect these to get a IS curve, which will show us all those combinations of real interest rate and output for which our goods market is in equilibrium. So essentially, there are two ways that you can derive the IS curve graphically. One is you can combine the Keynesian cross with investment function, and here you change Y, here you change R and see what needs to happen to Y to keep goods market in equilibrium. The other equivalent way is that we use the savings investment diagram, and here we did it for closed economy. And in this case, what you do is you change Y and see what needs to happen to R to keep goods market in equilibrium.